Hey everyone, we are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
There he is, the greatest defensive player on the planet. 23 sacks, a unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. A man who just broke an NFL record that stood untouched for over 2 decades, and he is sitting across from Rich Eisen at Super Bowl Radio Row with a Lombardi trophy 3 feet away, telling the world he wants out of Cleveland. Not because of the money, not because of the records, because he doesn't think the organization knows where it's going. And the thing nobody is connecting, the thread that runs underneath every single decision Myles Garrett has made this offseason, is Shedeur Sanders. What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, Dre Fiver. Welcome back to Dre Reports. No filters, no scripts, just the raw documented truth about what is happening in the NFL. And today we are going deep on a story that is more layered than anything Cleveland has put out in years. Myles Garrett, the man who just rewrote the NFL record books, is skipping voluntary workouts, hasn't met his new head coach face-to-face, lost $1 million in workout bonuses deliberately, and is signaling to anyone paying attention that he is not happy with what the Cleveland Browns are doing. And at the center of it, the way this organization has been handling its young quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. Let Dre set the scene properly. Myles Garrett's 2025 season was a masterpiece. According to the official Browns website and ESPN, Garrett finished the season with 23 sacks, breaking the NFL's single-season record that had been shared by Michael Strahan and T.J. Watt since 2001 and 2021, respectively. He did it on a 5-12 team. He did it while being double-teamed or chip-blocked on 186 pass rushes, the most of any edge rusher since at least 2018, according to NFL Next Gen stats. He led the entire league with 33 tackles for loss. He won the AP Defensive Player of the Year by a unanimous 50 votes to 0. Not one voter had him second. He is by every possible measure the best defensive player in professional football right now. And he is telling the Cleveland Browns organization, calmly, publicly, and with receipts, that he does not believe they can win. Now here is where it gets interesting. Back in February of 2025, right after the season ended and before he signed his extension, Garrett had already requested a trade. He flew straight from the airport to Rich Eisen's set at Super Bowl.enx Radio Row in New Orleans and sat down without so much as a team handler in the room. As reported by NFL.com and Fox Sports, Garrett told Eisen straight up, "I have a lot of love for Cleveland, but it's always for me been about competing for championships, winning those big games, and winning Lombardis. We haven't had the opportunity to do that. That's all I'm asking for." He said his goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. He wanted a Super Bowl. He talked to LeBron James before going public, specifically to learn what the process of leaving Cleveland felt like. According to Fox Sports reporting, LeBron, who left Cleveland twice and won 4 titles, apparently was not surprised to hear from him. Now, the Browns managed to keep Garrett that offseason. They came to the table with 4 years, $160 million, at the time the richest non-quarterback contract in NFL history, and Garrett stayed. He repaid them with the greatest pass-rushing season ever played. And what did Cleveland do in return? They fired head coach Kevin Stefanski. Fair enough. Stefanski's record was what it was. They hired first-time head coach Todd Monken as the offensive architect. Also fine, Monken is respected as an offensive mind. But here is the part that matters to Myles Garrett. Defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz, the man who built one of the most dominant defensive units in recent Cleveland history, the man who had been calling this the best training camp he'd ever seen from Garrett, the man Garrett had been vocally campaigning for to get the head coaching job, did not get the promotion. According to NFL.com reporting and CBS Sports, Schwartz was passed over, and he subsequently resigned. The man Garrett called his defensive visionary just packed up and walked out of the building. Think about that from Garrett's perspective for a moment. You just broke the NFL sack record. You just won unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. Your coordinator, who helped build the system you dominated in, just left because he wasn't given the job. And the guy who was given the job has never been a head coach before. A first-time head coach, running an offense, inheriting your defense, without the architect who built it. So Myles Garrett, who had already been through one trade request cycle, watched all of this go down. And then April came. The Browns held their voluntary minicamp just days before the 2026 NFL Draft. And according to Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com, Myles Garrett was not there. As reported by Yahoo Sports and CBS Sports, Garrett attended a Cleveland Cavaliers game, then flew to Los Angeles for a movie premiere with his girlfriend, Olympic snowboarder Chloe Kim. He skipped minicamp. Not injured, not excused. Just not there. Now, voluntary means voluntary. Dre will be clear about that. He was not required to attend. New coach Todd Monken told reporters he was making, quote, a big deal out of this, and said other veterans weren't there either. But here's what separates this absence from a normal veteran resting his legs. According to a detailed financial analysis published by CBS Sports, Garrett's contract contains a $1 million workout bonus that requires him to participate in at least 84.375% of off-season sessions and in all minicamps and OTA days. He has almost certainly already lost that bonus. And according to CBS Sports reporting, Monken confirmed he has not yet met Garrett face-to-face, only exchanged texts. The man just broke the NFL sack record, and your new head coach has only texted him. In April, after the season ended in January. That is not a guy resting his legs, that is a message. And here is where Shaduer Sanders enters the picture directly. Because while Myles Garrett was skipping minicamp, Shedeur Sanders was doing exactly what Myles Garrett publicly praised him for doing all last season. According to reporting from 247 Sports and The Athletic, Shedeur Sanders told reporters at the April minicamp, there's a new vibe and new energy in the building. He was first up for team reps on day one of Monken's system. He is locked in, focused, and competing every single day. Myles Garrett spent the 2025 season watching this young man up close. He watched Shedeur Sanders sit on the bench for 9 weeks while the team lost. He watched him come in and produce franchise record numbers against the Titans. He watched Kevin Stefanski pull Sanders off the field for the biggest play of that game. And according to Pro Football Network reporting, when asked to describe Shedeur Sanders, Garrett gave exactly one word: unflappable. He told the media during training camp last year that Sanders is, quote, funny, optimistic, lighthearted, but he works hard. He takes it seriously, his craft. He's watching what the others are doing and doing it his own way, in which only he can. That was Myles Garrett, the most respected player on that roster, publicly endorsing Shedeur Sanders without anyone even asking him to. Now look at the contrast. That same young quarterback who Garrett called unflappable is entering year 2 facing a quarterback competition with Deshaun Watson, a player who hasn't had a healthy, effective NFL season since 2020. According to a report from Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com and confirmed by CBS Sports, after just 3 days of voluntary minicamp practice, Watson was being floated as having the inside track on the starting job. 3 days against a second-year quarterback who made franchise history in his rookie season. Now Dre wants to connect a dot that nobody is connecting in the mainstream coverage. Because there is a financial reason, an accounting reason, why the Cleveland Browns might prefer Deshaun Watson over Shedeur Sanders that has nothing to do with football performance. According to CBS Sports' detailed breakdown of the Browns' financial situation, Cleveland is sitting on a massive dead cap obligation tied to Watson's fully guaranteed contract. When Watson is eventually released, which at this point is widely expected to happen after the 2026 season, the Browns are looking at approximately $86 million in dead cap money split between 2027 and 2028. That's dead money, money paid to a quarterback who isn't on the team anymore. The only way the organization can even attempt to justify that number to ownership and to the fan base is to tell the story that Watson was given every possible chance, every rep, every opportunity. That the competition was real. So what you end up with is a quarterback competition where one side has a financial incentive, a $130 million incentive, to look as good as possible. And the guy on the other side, the young kid who set franchise records as a rookie, has to prove himself from behind. Again, for the second year in a row, in a new system. Against a veteran the organization paid a record guarantee to. That is the situation Shedeur Sanders is walking into in 2026. And Myles Garrett, who just called this young man unflappable, who watched him get pulled off the field on the biggest play of Week 14, who watched Cleveland limp to 5-12 while he personally broke the all-time sack record, is sitting at a Cavaliers game and watching a movie premiere in Los Angeles instead of being in Berea, Ohio. That is not a coincidence. Myles Garrett is one of the most intelligent, most calculated people in professional football. He consulted LeBron James before his first trade request. He studies the game at an elite level. He doesn't do things by accident. When the man who just broke the sack record deliberately skips workouts and deliberately loses $1 million in bonus money to send a message, you should probably read the message. Now, let's give Cleveland some credit, because not everyone in that building is oblivious. Todd Monken has, to his credit, pushed back on the Watson as frontrunner narrative. According to NFL.com and Fox News Sports reporting, Monken said at multiple points that the competition is wide open, that he doesn't have history with any of these players, and that he has described Sanders as having, quote, elite playmaking ability. He confirmed on day one that Sanders took the first reps in 11-on-11 drills. He told reporters he wishes Garrett and the other missing veterans were present, but wasn't concerned about it given the voluntary nature of the workouts. And Browns franchise legend Bernie Kosar, who played through some of the darkest stretches in Cleveland history, came out recently and gave Shedeur his full public endorsement, saying, as reported by Clutch Points and Yahoo Sports, that Sanders made plays with a limited offensive roster around him, and that he's fully behind the second-year passer as QB1 going forward. Even Deion Sanders Sr., Coach Prime himself, responded to the noise this week on Instagram with a direct message. "Lord Jesus, we just got back started, and how you gonna tell us who we are? That's a Sanders you're talking to, baby." The family is locked in. They know what's happening. And based on the source material from Deion Jr. that sparked this whole conversation, they are done staying quiet about it. So where does this all land right now? Here is the picture Dre is seeing as of May 2026. You have the best defensive player in football, who just had one of the greatest individual seasons in NFL history, on a 5-12 team, and he is not in the building when the new coach wants everyone there. He has only exchanged texts with Todd Monken. He has lost $1 million in bonus money to send a message. According to CBS Sports reporting, the mandatory minicamp is coming in June, specifically June 9th through 11th. If Garrett does not show up for mandatory minicamp without an excuse, it speaks volumes. And according to that same CBS Sports financial analysis, his contract has a September 2 option deadline. If he is still a Brown at that point, without having forced a resolution, the team can feel somewhat settled. But if June comes and goes without Garrett in the building, this situation explodes. Here is the bottom line. Myles Garrett does not want to be the modern Joe Thomas. He does not want to be the greatest player to never have a chance. He spent 8 years in Cleveland, gave them everything he had, and watched ownership make decision after decision that prioritized financial commitments over competitive reality. He watched a head coach get fired who drafted 2 rookie quarterbacks and managed the roster into the ground. He watched his defensive coordinator, a man who helped him break the all-time sack record, get passed over for a promotion and walk out the door. And he is watching a young quarterback who he publicly called unflappable get squeezed out of a fair competition by a $90 million dead cap ghost. Deion Jr. said it best in that rant that started all of this. He said some people put limits on you, put periods at the end of your sentences. And the answer is to change that period to a comma and keep going. Shaduer Sanders is doing exactly that, showing up early, competing every day, taking every rep he's given. And Myles Garrett, in his own way, from Los Angeles, from a Cavaliers arena, from an empty practice field in Berea, is also sending a message. He is saying, I did everything you asked. I broke every record. I stayed when I didn't have to. I need this organization to do right by the people in that building who are actually trying to win. And one of those people is wearing number 2. June 9th, that's the date. Mandatory minicamp. That's when we find out if Cleveland hears the message or if this thing explodes into the biggest story in the NFL. And Dre Reports will be here for every single second of it. All right, people. That is the breakdown. We went from the all-time sack record to the trade request timeline, through the Jim Schwartz resignation, through the $1 million workout bonus Garrett just walked away from, all the way to the financial reality of the Deshaun Watson dead cap situation and what it means for Shaduer Sanders' legitimate shot at the starting job. Nobody is connecting all of these dots in one place. That is what Dre Reports does. Here's what I need from you right now. Hit that like button immediately and drop a comment. Because I want to know, is Myles Garrett going to show up to mandatory minicamp in June? Or does this thing go nuclear? And while you are down there, do you believe the Cleveland Browns are genuinely going to give Shedeur Sanders a fair shot? Or is this competition already decided? The comments section is open. Let's talk about it. And if you are watching this and you are not subscribed to Dre Reports yet, I want you to fix that right now. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you in the next one. Dre Fiverr, out.